Good morning. Welcome to NewsWare's Trade Talk for Thursday, February 12th. Let's get into the action. Take a look at the S&Ps, which are trading higher by 0.27%. Nice move this morning. We're still digesting the latest rounds of earnings and economic data. I mean, the sentiment is still positive. Yesterday that stronger than expected non-farms payroll report, it's still ebbing these markets higher. It's producing additional confidence in the resiliency of the U.S. labor market because that was a strong report. This morning, we get the weekless jobless claims. That's going to be interesting. Turning our attention over to Washington. I mean, the big news out of Washington really is that the GOP-led House yesterday narrowly approved a resolution aimed at rolling back Trump's tariffs on Canada. They don't want to be putting tariffs on Canada. The only one that's really for that is Trump. President Trump is also scheduled to make an announcement today. Now, he's going to be doing this with the administrator of the EPA. So expect something on, coal. Watch the coal stocks. This could be something to deal with EPA regulations and rolling them back, greenhouse gases sort of thing. This morning, we're seeing some positive action. The banks seeing some positive action in tech, and even the software stocks are trading a little higher this morning, which is good to see. What was it, ZBRA, Zebra Technologies? These guys approved a big buyback this morning. On the earnings front, we're seeing ticker H, Hyatt Hotels, Hubs, HubSpot, Zebra. They're all trading higher after their releases. Where AppLovin, Cisco, and PAYC, they're trading lower after their releases. This afternoon we're going to get earnings report from AMAT, Arista Networks, Coinbase, Airbnb. They're all scheduled to release. Tomorrow morning you got Wendy's, Advanced Auto Parts, and Moderna. They're all scheduled to release tomorrow morning. Looking overseas, we're looking at the DAX. The DAX is up 1.44%. That's 358 points. It's really being led by strength in financials and software stocks as they recoup some of the recent losses. You look at the FTSE. The FTSE is, it's ebbing higher. It's flat to higher. Financial names are, performing well, I will say. Then we're looking at the CAC in Paris, which is up over 1% this morning. The big story there is upbeat results out of the luxury sector, which is helping push that index to new all-time highs. Then we're looking over at Asia last night, and I look at the Nikkei. The Nikkei fell, but it was down 0.02%. I mean, yesterday it was closed, but a couple of days before that, it was just it was on fire. It was up, like 5% already for the week. So the fact that it's down 0.02% kind of shows that the market's continuing to view the Prime Minister's fiscal agenda as being supportive of domestic growth. Then you look at Hong Kong, the Hang Seng fell 0.86%. There's some weakness in tech and, financial and consumer stocks, but Shanghai and China, they rose. I mean, it was up 0.05%. There's talk that the U.S. and China are likely to extend that trade truce for up to a year. That possible extension is going to happen, or it will likely be announced when Trump visits China, which is tentatively scheduled for April. So we'll keep an eye on that. And then we're turning our attention over to oil this morning. And, oil is trading lower. It's flat to lower. You got WTI at $64.58 a barrel. You got Brent at $69.23 a barrel. The big story is the IEA. They reported a decline in oil production, noting a drop of 160,000 barrels per day from OPEC nations and 1.1 million barrels per day from non-OPEC nations. The U.S. oil production was hampered, this past month due to cold weather snaps, so I'm not surprised to see that, but it should be back on track. But the IEA, the agency, also trimmed its growth for 2026, which is a little bit concerning. Okay, now we're moving over to earnings action, and we're going to start off with Cisco, which beat by 2 cents on higher revenue. You look at the stock, it's off by 7.35%. It's memory issues. The cost of memory is going up. The cost of silver is going up. The cost of memory is going up. So, that's causing a bit of a pullback, even though the business reported a good earnings report. AppLovin, ticker APP, they beat by 30 cents. They did it on higher revenue. That stock's down 8.50% this morning. Ooh, nasty. Then we're looking at the upcoming reports. We got Arista Networks, which is ANET. EPS is 75 cents. Expected move is 9.5%. You got AMAT, Apple, Michael, Apple, Tom. Their EPS is $2.19. Expected move is 7.18% when they release this afternoon. On the economic front, this morning, 8:30 a.m., jobless claims, 10 a.m., existing home sales. In terms of the jobless claims, I mean, it's hard to really gauge, but I wouldn't be surprised if they came in a little bit, lighter than last week's, because last week's number was excessively high over the 4-month moving average. So I would expect the number to come in, somewhere around 215K. I mean, street estimates are looking for 225K. In terms of Fed speaking at Dallas Fed Bank President Lori Logan, she's going to be speaking today. Who else do we have speaking? 7:05 p.m. We're going to hear from Fed Governor Stephen Moran. He's also speaking. Looking at the markets, they're mixed. I mean, we're seeing some positive action in the FANG stocks, but the Dow's mixed. The big loser on the Dow, of course, is Cisco. The big gainer is NVIDIA. In terms of FANG stocks, the FTC is warning Apple not to stifle conservative news content on Apple News. The FTC shouldn't be doing this on any news organization. Amazon, tax police in Italy apparently are searching Amazon's Italian headquarters in a probe into alleged fiscal fraud. I don't think there's anything there. Meta, the head of Instagram, was in front of lawmakers yesterday, and he said social media is not clinically addictive, which is what I would expect him to say. In terms of Dow Jones 30 stocks, McDonald's is targeting adding 2,600 gross restaurants openings in 2026. Microsoft, Amazon, they're both in NVIDIA. They're all investors. Anthropic, they're completing a deal to raise $20 billion in a new round of funding. In terms of guidance news, HubSpot, they see Q1 EPS coming in $2.46 to $2.48. Street estimates $2.34. That's an uptick. AppLovin sees Q1 revenue $1.745 billion to $1.775 billion. Street estimates $1.70 billion. That's a nice uptick. Now Cisco reported, that they see Q3 revenue coming in, $15.4 billion to $15.6 billion. Street estimates $15.21 billion. So, I look at that, that's an uptick as well. In terms of buyback, Zebra Technologies approved a 1 billion share repurchasing authorization after their earnings release. Okay, let's move on to our pick of the day. I got to go with DraftKings, DKNG, David Kilo, Nancy Grace. Earnings are out earnings are out after the bell today. EPS is 50 cents. Expected move is 10%. Yesterday's call volume, 18,900 calls versus 12,500 puts. Open interest, 458K. To put side, 241K. I mean, that's not 2-to-1, but it's definitely positive. And for the most part, you're seeing most of the major brokers, they are raising price targets. And, the price targets they're talking are like, $45, $50, and the stock's trading, more like 26. So there's room for that to run. But, in terms of an entry price for DraftKings, yeah, I'm sticking with it. 26.40. That's my entry price. Nothing's changed. So, this morning my entry price for DraftKings is 26.40, and I think you're going to be able to grab 1% off of it today as it gets a little momentum into earnings today. That's my thought. Trying to get in and out today. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about stories that are hitting the press over the last 15 minutes or so. See what we see. FedEx shares are down in the pre-market after providing Q3 and 2029 targets. FedEx's next investor date is April 8th. That's a ways away. A couple of Navy ships collided near South America. Meta says it's spending $10 billion on an India-based data center. Texas Roadhouse was removed from City's Catalyst watch list. Air Canada is buying Airbus planes. Not surprising. Southwest Airlines are going to be adding Starlink to more than 300 aircraft by the end of the year. Allgene gets FDA approval for an ovarian cancer diagnostic test. ABBV, they're suing the Department of Health and Human Services, challenging the decision to impose price controls for Botox. Boeing says it spent 40% fewer hours fixing problems with its supply chain now compared to 2024. WhatsApp has been completely blocked in Russia for failing to comply with local law, the Kremlin said. All right, that's all I'm seeing here this morning. Let's take a look at our stock of the day from yesterday. I mean, it was Cisco. I mean, it did kind of beat. I mean, the stock opened up at 86.06, ran to 87.14. There's your 1%. But it closed lower than the opening, so that scared the crap out of me. And, then this morning after the earnings report, even though it was a very strong report, they didn't like the talk about, memory prices weighing on future profitability, even though they did guide pretty well. But Cisco's trading lower today, but it did make the 1% during the trading action yesterday. So that's positive. Okay, traders, listen, that ends today's podcast. You guys know what to do. Let's go out there and let's make some green.